Welcome out to It's All Been Trekked Before. This time, too short a season. This season isn't too short. We've got plenty of episodes to go. But check out this one, too short a season. Also, speaking of too short a season, it's early in the season. I don't know how they do it with the It's All Been Done Radio Hour, but it's back this weekend. It's All Been Done Radio Hour at Mad Lab Theater. Get those tickets at madlab.net this Saturday, 5 o'clock. It's a take on the old time serials with a little bit of an updating, and there might be a Star Trek thing in there. Check it out. It's a lot of fun. Get warmed up. Go to IABDpresents.com. Check out the archives. See what there's about to. If you like listening to us here, you're going to like listening to It's All Been Done Radio Hour. Lots of fun. Lots of allusions to Star Trek if you listen to Universe Journey. Almost like all the allusions here in this episode, too short a season. On It's All Been Trekked Before.
Welcome out to another episode It's All Been Trekked Before. Your skeleton crew.
This is Steven.
Jimmy-Jerome. And this is funny to say skeleton because there was a really old guy in this episode.
Briefly. Very briefly.
I mean, it was too short a season. Is the name of the episode.
It is.
Next Generation episode. First impressions, go for it, Steven.
Conceptually, I liked a lot of it. And you mentioned just as we were getting started watching it that it felt very TOS amalgamation. And it definitely was in a lot of ways. I think conceptually, and we'll get into it, I think there's a lot of things I liked about this episode. I think this might have some of the worst acting we've ever seen in any Star Trek episode. And as an actor, I hate to rag on other actors, but and maybe some of it was direction and other things, but it just, I think there's a really good episode in there. I don't think we quite achieved, I shouldn't say that. I don't know if it would have been awesome even if it was perfectly acted, but still good. Like I said, I don't hate it, but we'll get into it. But I think some of the acting was really brutal.
They were trying so hard, though.
That's exactly the problem.
Yeah, that's my biggest complaint. Is the acting, the trying.
I kept rooting for them to come around, and it just got worse.
I don't think I disliked this episode as much as you did.
Yeah.
I've got plenty of nitpicky things about it, and there's a lot to make fun of in this episode. But yeah, I mean, in the end, I think it was a cohesive story that made sense.
It did.
Whether it was well executed or not, that's a little more ambiguous. But we've seen so many Star Trek episodes that aren't cohesive stories.
That's true.
That even if it's not greatly executed, if it makes sense, I'll give them a little benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, I think you're right. It was even linear, perhaps, storyline. I think there was a potential for more real pathos, and I don't know that it was all undercut by the acting necessarily as much as some of the ways the story was developed and the confines of a episodic television, especially in 1987. Yeah, and I feel like it's a classic Star Trek tale of the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Is that what it is? Yeah. Starship captains, this is why there's a prime directive. Starship captains should not mess with stuff. The track record is terrible.
I'm pretty sure he mentioned that he thought he wasn't disobeying the prime directive by arming both sides.
Yeah, that was an interesting...
Well, as we've discussed, the prime directive is not all that clear.
It is not.
So people interpret it different ways.
They did that. They knew.
He's not going to live long enough to go on court-martial, so we don't know if Starfleet agrees with him.
But yeah, I think most Starship captains are bad at world building, especially in TOS. It seemed like every other episode we were running into an old friend of Kirk's who tried to change the planet, whether they made it into a Nazi planet or they left a book behind and became a gangster planet. At least that was fun. And then at least several more where, former Starship captains thought they could do this and this happened. Or I guess it was,
this was a rebel planet. He left behind a copy of Star Wars.
That's true.
And Starfleet, the Empire came to. I made the Star Wars reference this time.
And to be fair, I shouldn't blame it on the Starship captains. A lot of these are just people trying to make their way in the universe. Star Wars reference, and and just I guess that's everybody. That's people in lots of situations thinking, well, I can make this better, and it's like, oh, I didn't, and living with regret. I think there was a really good storyline of Jameson really living with that guilt. It's kind of the flip side of, to go back to the TOS, Conscience of the King, where Kodos made all these decisions and was running from it, and we never really got to see him. We did have the one great speech in there, the one great moment where he is confronting it, and his daughter's the one, as it turns out. Spoiler alert! If you haven't watched that, is the one killing these people, and he had tried to get away from it. And Conscience of the King I think it's a great episode, the original series. So I would definitely favor that over this. But I don't think we got to that level of pathos here, unfortunately. But I think it was available. And part of that is that it's DC Fontana was helped co-write this. I don't want to put it on her, but I know we've had issues with some of her writing before. I felt like, is it Cardass? Is that the villain?
Cardass.
He was, and you made good reference to that too. He seemed so over the top.
He was trying so hard to recreate Ricardo Montalban's performance from The Wrath of Khan.
He really was.
And like the eyes, the eye acting, we could spend the whole episode talking about the eye acting with Cardass, who was played by Michael Pataki. We should mention. We'll get to the other actors in a minute, but Michael Pataki is best known for Rocky IV, Halloween 4, Graduation Day 4, no, just Graduation Day, and Easy Rider. He played Mime number 4.
Wow!
So he's big on number 4s, that guy's apparently.
He's been in some stuff.
He's got 177 acting credits.
All right.
So he's got a career.
Well, this is not one of his best.
Voices George Licker and the Devil on Ren and Stimpy.
Oh, all right. Well,
and he was the cow in Mighty Mouse in the 80s.
I'm coming around with my respect for him.
I mean, it felt like he, in particular, had studied well-acted villains and then tried to do an impression of them.
Yeah, and I thought, like, right off the bat, like the first time he talks to Starfleet, it's like,
oh, you know he's the bad guy.
Yeah. It's like there's no subtlety. It's like we know you're up to something.
Yeah.
There's no like, please help us, and then the turn. There's no turn.
No,
it's immediately so, and I think immediately the episode was undercut there.
I mean, the episode, and I will say this for the narrative pacing, it takes forever to get to the planet and actually start stuff.
Yes.
I mean, not that that's necessarily a bad thing if the story was more about the Admiral, but then it kind of turns, and the last act is not really about the Admiral.
They wanted to really get into that de-aging thing.
Yes.
And which is fine and interesting to an extent, but I wanted to hear more. Actually, it is a good reveal when he's like, oh, this is what I tried to do to fix things and I screwed things up. I wish we'd seen more of his pain through the episode. Like, I've been living with this for forever. But, and I know the idea is, well, he's trying to overcompensate by taking over the away team and all that stuff and everything, but it would, and now I'm just getting into, this is the episode I wanted to see versus the episode we saw.
Sure.
But that just didn't appeal to me, just his overcompensating. And but I thought Picard handled it, or Picard. As
Cardass.
Picard.
The Picard, when Cardass called him Picard, reminded me of Khan saying Admiral Kirk. Like, it's that same. But except when Ricardo Montalban overacts, we all go, "Wow, that was a great performance."
Well, it is because
and when Michael Pataki overacts, we're just like, eh.
Yeah, Montalban is a way to act out 15 years.
But it is overacting. You have to admit,
it is.
I mean, I love it. I love it. I'm not saying, but it's overacting.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, Montalban is chewing scenery, but nobody wants the camera to go away from him. We do not want to leave this guy. Whereas this guy, it's like, I'm done already.
Yeah.
And
Shatner, same way.
Yeah.
Shatner
absolutely.
has the Montalban charisma.
Sure. Yeah.
Whether where they fight each other.
It's one of the best movies of all time. I hate to, and I don't think he's the only bad actor. I thought Jameson, the guy playing Jameson, had his moments. I thought, right off the bat, like you said, we know this guy's going to get younger, and some of that's a makeup thing, and some of it's just like his actions were just. He acted
funny from the beginning.
He did. Yeah. So I wrote down. It made him seem like a Muppet.
Quick pin in the look. We'll talk about it, but the actor is Clayton Rohner, who's best known for Mope and Ozark, the current television show.
Oh.
On Netflix.
That's where I know him from.
He's also in Bluff City Law, which is a current television show with Jimmy
Who
Smith.
is he on Ozark?
He is Hanson Sr. I've only seen the pilot of Ozark. I need to watch more of it.
I should know who that is. But yeah, he looked real. Okay.
So it's only credited for one episode, though.
Oh, okay. Then maybe not.
It's what he's second best known for. So apparently it was a powerful performance.
I felt like I'd seen him in other stuff in the 80s.
He has 84 film credits.
Okay.
Obviously still active. Did a couple episodes of Dollhouse back in 2009.
Okay.
If you're a geek like me, that's one of my favorites.
Dushku?
Yes, great show. He was in a show called Good vs. Evil for 22 episodes. He was in 18 episodes of Murder 1. He was in an episode of T.J. Hooker. Funny enough.
There
he played
you go.
Richie. That was his second acting credit.
That's awesome.
Before he went on to do Star Trek. In 1983, the year I was born, he was in T.J. Hooker. He and Cardass were the Kirk and con of this episode.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. They just fall short of Shatner and Montalban.
Yeah, they do.
Other than that, like cohesive story, we talked about the writing. DC Fontana and Michaelian, which sounds like
made up.
It's spelled
sounds
Michael with an I-N at the end. It
sounds like a pseudonym.
So I don't think it is because he's got a ton of credits.
Okay.
And that's what he's credited as. But yeah, I'm Michaelian.
Yeah.
He's best known for being a writer on The Quest. It was a television show back in 1976.
Oh, wow.
He wrote a two-parter and then wrote a TV movie for The Quest. Okay. This is what he's second best known for. It's the only episode of Star Trek he wrote. He also wrote a couple episodes of Fantasy Island, a few episodes of Kung Fu.
We keep coming back to Ricardo Montalban.
We do. A couple episodes of Fantastic Journey, a few episodes of Dukes of Hazzard. So he was a writer in the mid-70s to into the early 90s, but yeah, just briefly. I did note one directing thing. There was a scene where Picard got into the turbo lift off the bridge. I love that front turbo lift. They still use the back sometimes, like original, but but it definitely went to handheld camera, which I don't think they use a lot in Next Gen.
Yeah, that was interesting. I noticed that too. That was interesting.
Yeah, enough to make a note about it.
Yeah.
I mentioned the Fountain of Youth thing. I feel like Star Trek, the original series, touched on that a couple of times, obviously. Future Star Trek will keep touching on it. Like, it's just one of those things that everybody... And there is a Next Generation movie that's all about they're on a planet they think the Fountain of Youth is, Insurrection. Yeah. It's the worst movie. Or Next Gen. Might be the worst. No, it's not the worst Star Trek movie because we have these new ones. It's not as good as Star Trek Beyond.
Into Darkness.
Star Trek Beyond's better. I haven't seen... as much as we talk about the Fountain of Youth and the quest for the Fountain of Youth, have you ever seen a good story revolving around the Fountain of Youth?
I wrote down at least one of them. Well, Cocoon. These are my alternate episodes. So we'll just jump to Cocoon, which is, Wilford Brimley and all the old folks find some alien pods or alien things or aliens. And they don't get younger, but they feel younger. And the other one I wrote is, actually, I watched part of this. I'd never seen it before on my vacation. Was Benjamin Button.
Oh, yes.
Which I kept thinking, I really wanted them to do one more transformation for him. And, like, he'd be like 13 or 12. Yeah. And that's where I thought we were going. Actor. Yeah, and that's where I thought we were going. I thought
the way this episode was going, could have just been him on his knees.
Right. Like Dorf, yeah. I think that would have been, so those are the only examples I can think of because I think Benjamin Button's probably a good movie. I haven't seen the whole thing, right? I've heard good things.
I wasn't thrilled with it.
But but I don't, and it's a different twist too, but... Yeah. The original series had, it's Deadly Years kind of a thing. Sure. The animated series, it was the Counterclock Incident. Yep. Yeah, a lot of them just aren't.
And that one where McCoy had to go back and face his past.
I don't
remember.
But I think, my confusion was, do they ever really explain what Iverson's disease is?
Nope, it can't be cured and it messes you up physically.
But because in my mind, it made him age more because why did Karnas?
Yes.
Karnas the Magnificent. Why did he looked like he was 60 or whatever? Which
means he would have had to be a teenager when this all went down.
Right.
Because 45 years ago.
Jameson looked like he was. I just wrote down, how old is he?
Well,
he looked like he was 190.
McCoy in the pilot of Next Gen was 115 or something. No, older than that.
Right. Yeah, and that's the other thing. We know in the future people are going to live longer.
Yeah.
And I think actually probably the planet's going to be done in a couple years, but
if we colonize Mars with Elon Musk under Supreme Leader Musk,
then people will live much longer. But yeah, it was just so Deadly Years to me that
the makeup.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, honestly, I think they used the same wig that they used for McCoy in the pilot.
I think I agree.
It was so close. I wrote down same barber, but and the other original series references besides like drawing those McCoy parallels, and like I said, I saw a parallel with McCoy's story as well. Mm-hmm. But the wheelchair reminded me of Pike. Like this is the new model of the Pike chair.
I loved it. I really liked that chair. I thought it was really cool.
It was cool. It opened up. But I do wonder why wheelchairs in the future just keep getting bigger. I feel like that's not convenient to get through hallways. Let's jump back to the beginning of the notes, I think, because we've been jumping around.
We have.
Kind of. So we meet, right after that, we hear about Ambassador Hawkins. We don't meet them. But we've got Admiral Mark Jameson. No relation to Admiral Jameson.
Jamie Jameson.
I will tell you, so as soon as they said Jameson, my ears perked up. When I named Jameson, I had forgotten this was a character.
Yeah.
It is spelled different. There's no I in this Jameson.
Oh, okay.
But I was just thinking, like, my favorite Star Trek admirals tend to start with J, like Jellicoe, which we haven't met yet, next gen. There's Jenner, and so there's some, like, that J, and that's where I went to Jameson. I didn't steal it from this episode. Admiral Jamie Jameson is really nothing like Mark Jameson.
No, he is not.
I think Jamie Jameson does the right thing.
I think.
Go listen to Universe Journey on the It's All Been Done Radio
there
podcast.
You go. Yep.
And it's really a shame we don't have Keith here since he plays Admiral Jamie Jameson. We'll get his thoughts. But then we also have Anne Jameson, Marcia Hunt.
Yeah. I did not like her acting either.
Annie with the golden hair.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't.
I liked her.
I didn't like her acting either.
I liked her better.
And, you know, for me, the thing that crystallized that is the line you just kind of brought up. That moment there, and some of this I'm gonna put on directing and execution. Mm-hmm. And maybe actually it might be just the writing and everything. Like, those lines could work there, but it's so rushed, and I feel like it's just not done right. Like, I think Clayton Rohner is doing a good job with his stuff.
With his wife interaction.
Yes, yeah, at the very end, especially in that his death scene, essentially.
Yeah.
Carne Asada is over the top over there, and then Marcia Hunt, I think also like I just didn't like what she was doing.
So this was the end of her career. She started in films in 1935. Okay. And worked quite a lot through the 30s, 40s, 50s. Okay. And even into the 60s, she has quite a few credits. This was her last credit before a 20-year break, and then she has 3 credits from 2006 to 2008. Wow. So this was like the end of a 40-year career for her.
Is she still with us?
There's no death date on IMDb, so I'm going to assume yes.
All right.
But yeah, she's known for black and white movies. She's from an older style of acting. And I do think you're right. I think you could see that in there. I mean, the one she's known for, I haven't heard of so much. Pride and Prejudice, the 1940 version. Wow. Bride by Mistake, Raw Deal, Mary Ryan Detective, in which she played Mary Ryan. Okay. So she's... all right. Yeah, she's got credits. I actually really liked her. A lot more than the men in this. Like I said, I don't recognize like any of her actual credits. But yeah, this felt like somebody that had experience.
I shouldn't say I didn't like everything, but there were a lot of... I wanted to like her more. I thought... And she looked the part, and early on I thought she said Mark a lot.
She did.
Mark.
We should do a fashion while we're talking about her.
Yep. Fashion.
Because we didn't really cover Mark Jameson's fashion either. But do you like the Admiral uniform?
I did.
It was kind of dressy, but it also had like a cringe around the waist.
Yeah, like he was ready. It seemed like, hey, I'm a higher rank, but I'm ready for action.
And Karnas and his soldiers were like the very blue camouflage, like we see in like
looked
Empire
very,
Strikes Back. Or...
Yeah, that's a good comp. I was gonna say out of any shoot 'em up video game of the arcade game of the 80s or 90s.
Well, and just that uniform immediately, you're like, this guy's a soldier. He's not a politician. Yeah. And then Anne herself had the most costume to talk about. Yeah, I liked the blue dress a lot.
I did too. I wrote old lady chic. I like the not a necklace but a necklace, like like a futuristic doily, maybe, for lack of a... Is that what it would be? Or
I think so.
Maybe a kind of thing. So yeah, I like that.
I mean, I know some people think this is an insult, but I think she was a very handsome woman.
Like, yeah. Oh yeah. I definitely yeah. As much as I might have a problem with acting, I thought she did too.
And the mauve outfit she wore with the sash or whatever, that is so Star Trek 24th century fashion. That cut of costume, you're going to see a million times going forward in Next Gen, DS9, and Voyager. Yeah. And I have the action figure I have of Whoopi Goldberg is a very similar cut. Guy wears a similar cut. Several action figures I have are in an outfit like that, even though they never made an action figure of her. To me, that is the quintessential TNG DS9 Voyager era of dress.
Yeah. And one thing about her is, and I think that's where immediately it's like, we know, and he makes a reference to, well, I got the drugs for you too, the de-aging drugs, but I want to test them first. And I do like, that actually is a really good moment where he's like, no, I want to test it first. He's like, well, you should have told me. That's a good moment. But
then he took them all.
But we know that there's no way she's going to de-age.
Sure.
Because
that actress was not young.
Yeah, exactly. Otherwise, it'd just literally be cut, moving another actress, whatever.
But here's we're talking about the acting and criticizing it a lot. Did you believe that relationship between the two of them?
I did actually. I did. Me too. Yeah, actually, yeah. To be fair, yeah, I did.
And there was a huge age gap in the actors' age, but I believed that history.
And I have something on that too.
Okay.
And I loved it. This is one of my favorite parts of the episode. And you and I hit on it immediately. Essentially, when he starts getting younger, he immediately gets his libido back, and it's a Viagra commercial.
Yeah.
And I thought that was actually awesome.
That was.
And then I had the thought initially. Actually, I thought it makes sense the way they went with it, where she's like, "I'm just an old lady now, and he's this young guy." But they could have gone. And this is the episode I wanted to see, which is she just like, no, this is awesome. I'm back dating this young guy that I fell in love with, and he's still into me. Let's roll. Let's roll with this.
I don't know. I thought it was a believable reaction. I didn't think it was over the top.
No, it was. Yeah, I just thought that would have been. I thought that would have been
That's a different episode for sure.
That's a very different episode.
There was a debate there that was a really interesting question, like career versus love, command versus love, because. Like you said, he had got the dose for her, and I do think there was, I think that was thoughtful. I think he wanted to be with his wife, and that was very important to him. But when this thing came up, this crisis, and the ego got involved, and the command, what he had done got involved, he immediately chose against her. And he's like, oh yeah, we can get you some more. Yeah. But he took her dose too. And that is a big move that informs his character. In a believable way that fit with everything else, but I think said a lot.
And I think that's one of those elements of the episode that I did like. And he's another guy who's married to a ship or whatever, even though he's got this awesome wife.
Well, he had been.
Yeah.
And she didn't have time to travel with him. Remember how she said,
exactly.
I love these family quarters. I could have been with you your whole career.
Yeah, exactly. And then, it's also about, I need to right this wrong I did.
Yeah.
I think that element makes sense of, well, if I'm going to do this, if I can be like I used to be younger, they might listen to that guy. They're not going to listen to this old idiot doddering around. And I think there's a lot to that. And again, that goes back to the Viagra commercial I mean, that's what those appeal to. That same kind of thing is like those guys are always driving they're going through a midlife crisis. They're driving a convertible Mustang around or whatever. So I think that's actually a nice little. I think there are some really good, and shout out to DC Fontana. I think lots of times she has great sci-fi ideas sometimes, and we usually blame Roddenberry for screwing her ideas, and sometimes they end up going a direction she didn't have in mind. But I think that's an on the money concept in '87, in 2019, and in 2419.
Well, you mentioned you're getting older. I think you still look closer to the young Jameson than the old Jameson. So when that shift happens, that's when you're going to start working. You still have the golden hair. Steven with the golden hair. So we mentioned Cardis and how he had a very military-looking uniform. Yeah. The first time we see him, we have those birds facing him, framing the view screen picture, and that to me was just so ridiculous.
In case you didn't get that, this guy might.
And those felt like TOS props.
They did.
And then the wall of guns behind him not only felt like TSO props, some of them were TOS props, not TSO, TOS props, which I appreciated. I love when we do future past that's our future.
Yes.
And yes, it was paying reference. They probably just have him sitting around the prop department. Yeah. But still, nice touch.
Yeah. And if it's fan service, whatever. But it worked. Like you said, it works for this episode.
So well.
Yeah, it does.
Did you buy that they could hear the difference between stun and kill? I mean, surely they use different sound effects, but I've never noticed.
No, I haven't either. I did like. Oh, speaking of the phasers, when they melt through the wall.
Yes.
I actually like that scene. I don't know why it was really long. I thought they were just gonna cut we cut through this, and they went through the whole thing with Yar and Worf cutting through it. But I actually enjoyed it.
I'll be honest, that was the part of the episode I was answering some text messages, and I felt like I missed nothing.
Yeah, you didn't, but I enjoyed watching it. But it was weird because I thought the phasers looked good, but the Carne Asada's guys. Their lasers look super cheesy fake.
Yeah?
Yeah, I don't know. They're like, we're out of money. Speaking of which, I'll touch on it real quick. I think we almost take for granted how great these new planets look.
Yeah.
When we think of not just the original series. I mean, and for the time, a lot of those look cool and they're ingrained in my memory. But when we got into the animated, remember we got real cheesy by the very end. It was just like, this is just we're running light by a circle. So shout out to the effects folks on TNG.
And we'll get even better looking ones in Enterprise and Discovery. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's a big jump forward.
It is.
While we're talking about that phaser scene, when Worf jumped and grabbed Jameson, he sent him down oh so gently.
He did.
Like, I don't even know how in the middle of a firefight the Klingon could take a second to set him down so gently.
It was a weird...
That felt like a protect the actor moment, not a realistic moment.
It was a weird battle scene. It was like everyone... It seemed choreographed, and I did... That said, Data doing the shoulder roll, awesome.
Of course.
I know that now.
And he had some classic Data glances in there.
Now that shout out, that call back to the original series, I'm always for. I'm always down for a shoulder roll.
Something that struck me as a little weird in that scene though at the end when they're like 6 to beam up. Yar is standing slightly behind them, like covering them with fire. She turns, puts her hand on the shoulder, and like poses with them. And I'm like, why? Can't they just beam her while she covers them?
They can, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It felt very weird. It was one of those things where it felt like it was a director giving actors this direction because he's a director, rather than what would be realistic for the use of the technology.
I think you're right. That's a good call.
It was an awful. And I'm sorry, Yar. I don't want to knock on Denise Crosby. I mean, honestly, this episode had almost nothing for our main cast to do other than Picard, Crusher, and a bit of Troy and Riker.
Yeah, a little bit.
But
Not
Yar,
much.
Worf, Geordi, Data, they were all wasted. Wesley wasn't in it at all, which we'll talk to in a minute. Picard says, this bumped on me, and I thought you and Keith would like this. He says, galactic understatement.
Oh,
it's a space understatement.
I missed that. That's awesome.
Anytime you can throw that adjective in. I didn't get why Karnas didn't recognize young Jameson. Because he knew him 45 years ago.
That's what I thought, too.
And maybe that goes back to your thing where he looked 130, so maybe he was 95 when he knew him before.
Right. That was my thing, too.
Like, you should, he looks more similar to the guy I knew.
Because even if we're back to when Jameson was 16, and he knew him when he was 30, I still think it'd be close enough that you wouldn't be like, this is ridiculous.
Well, and, I mean...
And why didn't he ask for the scar right away?
And, no kidding. But what did he in his memory? He'd remember the young version, not the old version.
Right.
It's not like they're still hanging out.
Right,
and he
exactly.
watched him age.
He barely knows that the old version is just any old guy.
Right.
Like, he could have been like, I don't know that guy.
Picard could have been like, I'm Jameson.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's an issue. That's a problem.
That's weird. I did think in the showdown scene between Karnas and Jameson, there's a part where Karnas is like, die by your own weapon, and points it at him, and then there's a few beats, and then he's like, okay, I'm going to let you go, and I'm like, so Picard's just sitting there going, that's cool. We'll just stay out of it.
That's what I thought. I thought somebody would shoot him.
I mean, we didn't have Data or Worf or Yar, but Picard and Crusher and Anne just being like, we're not going to get involved at all, it was dumb.
It struck me like...
You gave up realism for an emotional moment.
Yeah, it struck me as like when you're rehearsing a show, and the guy's like, I'm going to shoot you, and then the next person's supposed to do the line, and they don't. And the guy still just waits. It's like, no, you would just shoot them.
And then he just improv like, oh, I'm going to let you die like that.
That's exactly what it felt like. Like, somebody dropped a line here. Somebody should be jumping in here.
I didn't think that. I just thought that was an example of nobody pointed out to the writer that if you want to have this emotional moment, you need to make it logically make sense.
Right.
I mean, it's something Nick and I discuss when we're going over scripts for Radio Hour.
No, it makes total sense.
Sometimes there'll be a great moment, but we have to make it justified to the story.
Yeah.
And unless you get Picard out of the way, that doesn't justify
Nope.
it. In terms of overacting, the line where he overacted the most, I think, was that rest, Jameson, your long night and mine is over.
And that's right after the Annie.
Is that a quote from something?
Maybe.
It sounds like it.
But and that's right after the Let Me Look at You, My Love, and Annie with the
golden hair.
Yeah, it's like those all could have been. That's to me those lines together are the epitome of the bad execution in a lot of spots in this episode.
I googled Your Long Night Is Over. I'm not getting any results, but to me, I just keep thinking of Game of Thrones, The Night's Watch, their vow for the long night.
It sounds Shakespearean, it sounds like something Khan would have said. From hell is hard.
So when Jameson first came on board and was like, Picard, you're going to report to me, why was that a question? Don't captains always have to answer to admirals when you're still active duty?
That's true. Oh, yeah, I didn't even touch it. I just wrote arbitrary command lines. I just think that's a terrible idea. So wait,
because he acted like he was already like, if he's still active duty, it's tokenism anyway.
Yeah.
Then that makes it feel weird for Picard to hand over command. But if he had showed up if he was physically in better shape at the beginning, there would be no question to Picard turning over.
You're right.
Right?
You're right. Yeah, if he didn't look like he was 190. Yeah, I think you're right. And then he just falls in with the regular admirals and commodores from the original series who were like, I'm taking over.
I will say,
or Admiral Kirk for that matter.
He was a much better admiral than the admirals and commodores in the original series. They
were
always getting in the way for no reason.
They were terrible.
Yeah. This guy seemed to have some morals, but he also had ego and.
But I just thought so he's in charge of the away team, and he gets to pick the away team.
Yeah.
Picard was still in charge of the ship,
yes.
but he had no control over the away team.
Right. Anytime they left the ship, that was Jameson's prerogative.
I feel like that's a really bad blurring of lines, because...
Honestly, I kind of felt that was fine, because I feel like, to me, that was Picard's going to run ship's operations, but this specific mission involving the planet, Jameson's going to run. And he needs Picard as like a support vehicle and a manpower vehicle. He needs the Enterprise for that. But you're not just going to have him like take over the ship because it's Picard's ship.
Maybe I come from a Kirk. I know I come from a Kirk thing. I'm like, nope. Here's who I'm going to let you take on your team, or bring your own people. Mm-hmm. One or the other. Otherwise, I'll gladly drive you there.
Uh-huh.
And if you need help, let me know.
But, and I'll even wait a couple of hours for you until you're done with your appointment.
You're not.
I won't leave and make you Uber another starship.
But you're not telling me which of my people you're taking. But to go to your point, he's an admiral, and that is his right. Yeah. But I think you're right. That line gets blurred right away, so that when he comes back around to that, it's like, yeah, it seems like it should be a bigger thing. But Picard handles it perfectly. He handles it perfectly.
So I've got a few notes about that first Picard Crusher scene in his office.
Yeah.
So first of all, lots of great shots of Dr. Livingston, Picard's lionfish in the background.
Oh yeah.
I always love seeing the lionfish swimming around. But then the Picard Crusher tension there. Mm-hmm. Like, first of all, he was not polite to her in this episode. He never said please or thank you. He never said, everything was in order. Everything was... And then he had to say very condescendingly, I trust you, Doctor, but...
Well, and I thought...
Shouldn't Troy be the one telling me this?
And I thought he saved himself a little bit when he came over the couch, but it felt like it was more of a... And maybe it should have gone more that way of, we're close. Yeah. I appreciate you and I like you. But it didn't go there. The body language went there.
Sure.
The actual words and what was said and the way it was said did not go there.
It frustrates the hell out of me that this show will never go there with Picard and Crusher.
Yeah.
Because that is just... I mean, spoiler, sorry. But in the series finale, when they jump forward in the future, they touch on the relationship. Yeah. But until then, like even in the films, there's a little bit of touching on it, but they still never... There is a Nemesis, the final movie Picard's crew made. There is an amazing scene in the script that they did not film or not stick in the movie where you really got a good capper on their chemistry over the years. I highly recommend reading that script online because a lot of people criticize that movie, and the script that was leaked online would have been a 3-hour film, and I know they didn't want to make a 3-hour film, but it served all the characters so much better. It was like, I feel like Nemesis died from editing, not from the script. Like, it was a solid script. Yeah. Anyway. But yeah, if it was a modern show, I think they would have gone there, and they should have gone there. Yeah. It's that 80s thing of let's keep everybody apart. Yep. And even Riker and Troy to wait for the films to get together.
Yeah. That's...
I mean, the Crusher Picard thing. When the Admiral gets out of his wheelchair on the bridge, and he walks to the con, everybody on the bridge is staring. Isn't there such a thing as professionalism in Starfleet? Don't you turn your head a little bit?
You would think.
That just seemed really disrespectful.
It was really
and awful.
Weird. Yeah.
But he does say, I haven't felt this good since Gettysburg. I mean, since his time on the USS Gettysburg. But immediately by choosing a ship that's associated with the Civil War, it makes you think he's old. Yes. I liked that. I thought that was a nice touch.
It was a nice
Whoever decided that
illusion.
I mean, you could say any starship name, but they wouldn't land like the Gettysburg landed there.
I'm going to give DC Fontana credit for that.
Probably. At the very end, Riker is such a suck up to Picard, where Picard's like, wisdom comes with age, and Riker's like, I hope I don't, you could recognize that without being old. And I'm like, and then Picard's like agreeing like they're peers. But I think that when Riker's saying that, he means you're old and I'm not. He's a suck up, but he's also condescending in that moment to me. And then at the very end, Geordi and Data share a look on the bridge.
What was that?
Well, that's in a lot of episodes.
Okay.
Their friendship. But it almost makes you think like there's an alternate episode of just them gossiping behind the scenes about this whole thing.
Yeah, it gave that feeling of, well, we wrap this up.
I feel
yucky. And I prefer that to the laugh.
Yeah.
Some of those terrible laugh lines we had at the end of the original series.
I feel like Sulu and Chekhov had a couple of those looks.
Yeah, they did too. So maybe it's another callback. I appreciated it when those guys did it. So maybe it's just my TOS bias coming through.
Data and Geordi will keep doing it.
And I like those guys too, to be fair.
I have a second alternate episode here though.
Okay.
There was a part where they were talking about drugs and how the drugs have destroyed him and whatever.
Yeah.
And I just thought you could reframe this music with different this episode with different music and make it a PSA on how drugs are bad.
Yep.
Like one of those cheesy, unrelatable PSAs, because it's not like teenagers are gonna like de-age and whatever.
No.
But you can see some convoluted metaphor they're trying to get across.
I thought, and I didn't write that down. I wrote down the Viagra, but it definitely had those elements of drugs are bad, okay? Yeah, it definitely had those PSA feels.
Mr. Mackey?
Yeah. I have a couple other just random notes.
Please.
I know I touched on this every time, but the Admiral's like, I'll be there at 1,500 hours. 1,500 hours where? I know we talked about this.
Galactic hours. No, what I like though is as soon as he got off, then they're like, it's almost 1,500 hours.
Yeah.
And it's like, you could have said, I'll be there in 2 minutes.
Right.
Instead, it's like 2:58. I'll be there at 3 p.m.
Because like, well, we want to get down there now. You're right. But then later they did say a couple times, at least once, in Earth days.
Yes.
I was like, very good, very well done. At some point, Crusher mentions he's going through body changes. I was like, so is this some kind of male menopause thing? What did they? And then finally they reveal what.
This is where we should have had Wesley in there and done some kind of parallel story.
Yeah. That would have been great. Wesley bonds with them less. The younger the Admiral gets, the less Wesley bonds with them. Early on, I couldn't tell if they were saying Iverson or Iverson. And then Iverson's disease, they don't explain it. This is going to be the sports part of the episode. I feel like they're talking about Allen Iverson, the NBA great. Not Hall of Famer yet. He might be. And so I don't know how that would connect to the disease, but other than you had a great crossover move and now you don't. That's for the sports fans out there.
I mean, I in my head immediately was like, oh, it's Lou Gehrig's disease. They just gave it a different name.
Oh, that's a good call.
A degenerative physical.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Uncurable.
I can't remember what happens right before it. It's when the away team beams down. And I can't remember the last thing said. And it's Riker. There's a shot of Riker and the transporter chief or whoever's running the transporter that day. And I really thought they were going to look at each other like, can you believe what's going on here? But they didn't do it. I was like, oh, it felt like it was there and they didn't do it. And
I'm so disappointed we haven't seen O'Brien since the pilot. Because we need to see. We had the original. We started to figure out who the transport chief was. O'Brien's the transport chief. Yeah. Where the heck is O'Brien?
So I really wanted them to have a look, and so I do put that on the director for not making that happen.
Rob Bowman.
You're
disappointing us.
I wrote down, this is my perv update, and this didn't happen through the whole episode, but Troy's appearances were even more focused on her cleavage than ever so far.
But speak it true real quick.
That might be on me, but I
didn't notice.
I'm going to put that on Rob Bowman, and it's the perv update, so I'm okay with that part, Bowman.
I didn't notice that, but I will say they let the camera linger on Troy a long time with suspicion for the Admiral.
Yeah.
But then Picard tells Crusher, shouldn't Troy be bringing this up? I'm like, she did it?
Right.
What?
That's what yeah, that's a good point, because I thought, she's getting a feeling. Yeah. And I thought she tried to talk around it because he was still there. But I was waiting for her to be like, hey, come over here.
Yeah.
I want to talk about this.
She's not doing her job if she's not talking to Picard.
Because she knows something's up.
For the Wesley annoyance.
Yeah, he wasn't here.
Yeah, we should probably... we've got 2 episodes where we gave him a 1 because he's not in it.
Yeah.
I honestly think we should probably start skipping those instead of ranking them because there's going to be more episodes in the next gen. I'm pretty sure it's more that he's not in. And that just isn't very useful, I think, to try to rank him when he's not there.
You're right.
So who was your annoyance this time?
Carne asada.
I guess my annoyance is Troy for not speaking about her suspicions.
Yeah, it's fair.
Attractive. You got one? Or are you going to stick with not Minuet from last episode?
Wow. I'm going to stick with her. I appreciate it. I will say this. As much as I banged on Marsha Hunt for acting ability, very attractive lady.
Yeah, I'm going with Ann Jameson.
Yeah.
I like Dan.
I'm not going to frown on that.
I think I was on Quinteros from last time. I don't remember who that was. Where we want to rank this episode. So obviously we'll start at the top. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But when we started this off mic,
yeah,
I said I didn't hate this episode. I thought it was decent, and you said you hated it. Have you been moved at all?
I still really like the concepts.
Okay.
The execution I don't think was awesome. So it's still, for me, it's probably somewhere more in the middle.
Yeah.
But we'll see when we start talking about the episodes.
I wouldn't put it above the middle mark.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I don't think it deserves to be at the bottom.
It's
better than the Code of Honor.
That's immediately what I thought. I was like, nope, it's better than that.
Let's start towards the middle with another Rob Bowman episode, Data Lore.
Yeah, it's probably better than that.
I agree.
Yeah.
And that surprises me because Data Lore, because of the building into the mythology of Next Gen, you think it'd be better, but it's not.
Right.
The one right above that is 11001001.
Which we just watched.
Yes.
You know what? I think you're talking to me now. I'm gonna go above.
Me too. Now right now there's an even number of episodes. Okay. So 1001 is the midpoint below.
All right.
So the midpoint above is Justice, where Wesley stumbles into the out of bounds.
Yeah, my only affinity for that episode is the beautiful blonde.
We liked it because it's
we
up
did.
There.
We did
halfway up.
Yeah.
I don't remember why we liked it, but
what's above that?
Angel 1, which was the female-dominated where Riker wanted to get it on. Riker probably did get it on with the planetary.
I feel like that somewhere in there is a good resting place for this episode.
You want to put it between the two?
Yeah.
Well, right above Angel 1's Encounter at Farpoint, and it's not going above that.
No.
So, I'll agree with him between those two.
Yeah.
That puts it at number 7 of 15. So
okay.
Justice is now the halfway point of the season. This is slightly above that. Next week, Steven, you're not going to believe this. I don't have the episode up. That's unusual,
Is there something about when the bow breaks?
It is when the bow breaks, but what is that about?
That gives me pause, I have to say.
A planet that was able to cloak itself for thousands of years, the planet Brigadoon 2. No, I'm just kidding. A planet that was able to cloak itself for thousands of years suddenly reveals itself with its inhabitants proposing peace. But after initial negotiations, children of the Enterprise are kidnapped due to the infertility of the inhabitants. I do remember this episode.
Oh, wow.
I do remember this.
So it finally got where I dreaded it.
It's like Brigadoon mixed with children kidnapping.
It's where I dreaded it would get, but we'll see.
Where did you dread it would get?
Into children and babies.
I will say there was...
Everyone knows how I feel about it, and the children shall lead.
I will give you a piece of information I think is going to make you excited about it.
Okay.
Remember how in an earlier episode you thought you saw Brenda Strong?
Yeah.
She's in this one.
Yes!
So...
All right, it's going up already. It's already moved up.
Brenda Strong automatically bumps up at least one episode.
She bumps up everything.
Until then, though, we're going to try to live long.
And prosper.
And not chase that fountain of youth.
Nope.
Let's just live long naturally.
Yeah.
Naturally.
That's right.
It's All Been Done presents.
Who's got the time?